And since December of last year, over 600 students have been abducted from schools in northwest Nigeria, a situation which brings concerns over safety of children in their schools. It's now 7 years after the abduction of 279 girls from a government school in Chibok in northern Nigeria, precisely in Borno State. The government is still promising and making promises on the return on the yet to be rescued pupils. The schoolgirls were taken hostage by the armed group Boko Haram in Chibok, a town in Borno State. And on April 14, 2014, that was when that sad incident occurred. While most of them were able to escape or were released, more than 100 are still missing. The world was enraged over that incident. Many other school abductions have been staged over the years. In Kaduna State, aggrieved parents of the remaining 29 abducted students of Federal College of Forestry Mechanization, Africa, in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State, have again appealed to President Buhari and the state government to facilitate the rescue of their children from the hands of the abductors. The parents say the lives of their children are in great danger if nothing is done urgently to secure them and their freedom. They also noted that the bandits have threatened to kill the students if government fails to pay ransom for their release. And that gets our attention. Students in their school, out-of-school children, the worrying numbers and in the increase of the out-of-school children and the state of schools and what government is doing, the effort in ensuring that our schools are saved. So tonight we speak to the convener of the Bring Back Our Girls group and a former vice president of the World Bank, a former federal minister in Nigeria, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili. She joins us from Abuja. Thank you so much, Dr. Ezekwesili, for joining us tonight. Let's start the conversation by getting to know your thoughts on what is playing through your mind 12 years after you began that campaign in bringing back the abducted Chibok students, and some of those who are still in captivity out of them, and perhaps coupled with the issues and the circumstances around recent school abductions that we've seen in Nigeria.
Well, thank you very much, Sheung. I do not think that there's a word that describes the degree of disappointment and a sense that the country has failed these young children and their parents, their families. The 112 remaining Chibok girls, as well as Leah Charibu, hardly get any kind of attention from our government. You will know that in recent escalation of abduction of school children, we saw Kankara, we saw Kagara, we saw Jengibe. And in all of those cases, the children were released back to the federal government because, you know, some conversation was going on between the federal government and the abductors. But in all of those cases, and when all of that was going on, there was not even a mention of the fact that we still have 112 Chibok girls and Leah Charibu. Why is it that they don't attract the level of, you know, there was so much energy behind the efforts to get the recent abducted children from the various schools. But Leah Charibu, Chibok girls, you hardly even hear anything about them from the government. And worse is that the public, if the public were not hearing, or the parents were hearing, it would make a lot of, you know, it would lessen the pain to some degree. But the parents aren't hearing. So it's terrible. It's as if to say the government feels like it can ignore those children, and by ignoring them, we have come to closure. We don't agree. We believe that first, the government needs to disclose in order to close. Disclose in terms of the Sabo report, Brigadier General Sabo report that talked about how they verified the incidents of the abduction, then the president, President Buhari, set up another committee under his NSA to do some verification again. And then there was another committee, that was the Kingibe Committee on the insecurity in the Northeast. All of these reports have not seen the light of day. So we don't even know what it is that we should know. The parents don't know what they should know about the abduction of their daughters. And you have all of this opaqueness around it, and yet the government has not said why there is no progress on the matter of the remaining girls.
Let's take a breather. But when we come back, what we wonder that with your relationship with some of the parents and your ears on the ground, perhaps some clues or signals onto the whereabouts of these children. We take a break, and when we come back, we get your views on whether or not we have any clue as to their whereabouts. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us right here on the program. Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, convener of the Bring Back Our Girls campaign group, has been talking to us on the program tonight, and it's about the issue of school children and their safety, what the government is doing. In the back of the 12 years anniversary of the abduction of over 270 schoolgirls in the school in Chibok town in Borno State. Thank you so much, Dr. Ezekwesili, for your time tonight. Over 600 schools are shut in northern Nigeria over the issues of abduction. I was going to ask you, with the fear that is in the air in parts of the northern Nigeria as regarding this matter, I would like to know what solutions that we can have as a nation. But before you tell us that, do you have any information from any quarters, parents, anywhere, as to whether these schoolgirls, the remaining ones from Chibok, are in the country, still with the abductors, or where exactly do we have? When was the last time you heard any information about them?
Well, Seun, I really should be asking you. I sometimes find it very, I must say, irritating when journalists begin to ask citizens like myself the questions that we should be asking you. It's the field of journalism that should really be at the center of, this demand for the disclosure on.
I guess the reason why I'm asking Doc, the reason why I'm asking Doc is because of your role as a convener of the Bring Back Our Girls group, and because of the relationship that you have. I have the information that I have as a journalist, but I'm having this conversation because it's a painful situation, and I'm asking for the benefit of our viewers tonight who are watching and are hoping that they can get some words of solace as regarding the situation.
I get where you're coming from. It's just that, think of it this way. The government can afford to ignore parents of Chibok girls, can afford to ignore BBOG, but the government cannot afford to ignore a very committed Nigeria media and citizens that really care to get to the root of what has happened to the remaining schoolgirls. So it really takes much more than, you saying you're a co-convener of Bring Back Our Girls, so we expect you to know. And the truth is, the last that we knew was painful. To hear somebody like Ahmed Selkida, who is known to have these kinds of information, saying to us that majority of the girls may actually not be there anymore. The government, we wrote to the government and said, tell us if that is what you have as information, so that the parents can at least adjust themselves to that reality. But to keep it an open-ended tragedy, and we have more than 20 parents that have died in the course of the last 7 years of not knowing anything about the state of their children. And then you have many of them that are bedridden, they are diseased in health because of, the neurosis of just having to cope with this kind of a situation. Their lives are in limbo. So when you have this kind of a theater of uncertainty, and then government is not saying a word to the parents, we all as a society should be very worried about that and should give a voice to closure. There has to be closure. The government's closure on Chibok girls and their charity would be to bring them back. It wouldn't be to simply, say that if we can avoid it, avoid talking about it and never saying anything to the parents, then this would just go away. It's never going to go away. It won't go away. And think of it this way, Shehu. Chibok girls happened in 2014. When some of us took the very firm stance that we took, that their government owed them justice of rescue, it was this fear that if citizens of the country, especially our children that go to school, could just disappear, and that would be the end of it, we all just carried on with our lives as if nothing happened, we would have sent a very dangerous signal to the abductors. And then what it would mean is that the vulnerability of the country would be very dire for all of us. And many years after, is that not what has come to pass? Where abduction, kidnapping, basically has become a thriving industry in our country. We could have checked this in 2014.
So, as we try to conclude this conversation, I just have two questions. One on this issue of school children, and the other one is about the economy. And within the next 1.5 minutes that we have left, I have personally visited that region as a journalist investigating some of the situation there. Channels Television has visited that area, in fact, Chibok, more than twice after that 2014 incident. But the Safe School initiative emerged from that Chibok situation. Has that initiative helped at all? If it has failed, why do you think it has failed?
It has failed simply because this government did not give any priority to it. I do not think that this government is interested in school children and their education. I don't think so. Look at the northern Nigeria. Northern Nigeria is already behind the curve in terms of development. And development is a function of human capital, education, health, and all the other associated services that people need in order to productively engage. So it is clear that this attitude toward the Safe School initiative that has made it not a priority has ended up basically incentivizing the business of the terrorists. And with that, my final word basically is the children need to be given priority in our country. And we all need to insist that children should be priority in our country, especially their education.
We need to close now, and just a secondary matter that I'd like you to weigh in because of your past experiences and knowledge. Just in 30 seconds, I'm sure you have followed the debate over the claims over the debate on the federal government, the claims of money printing from Governor Obaseki. What's your take on that matter?
Well, I think that the country is in serious economic trouble. The truth is, you've got inflation at high double digit of 17%. Inflation is the worst enemy of the poor, and for the governor to be almost sanguine about quantitative easing that is not backed by the kind of level of growth and productivity that you could see in countries like America or some of the other countries in Europe. And this is a really dangerous policy. And there's so much opacity attached to the whole quantitative easing process that he's doing. This money printing that he's thinking is just lending, you're supporting government. For goodness sake, look at our debt a public debt service to the budget. It's now more than 80%. What are we doing? The economy is in ruin.
Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you, Sheung. Have a good one.
You too, please. Thank you. That's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sheung Akimale. Bye-bye.